The next wave is upon Naofumi and his party. He currently is only with Raphtalia, but they are also in Shield Frieden. They're getting ready for the wave, and it's about to approach. With the sky beginning to turn, and the purple with portals beginning to open, well, the next wave is finally upon them. Naofumi is not sure how this will eventually go. The first wave he went through, he didn't even fight the main boss, but he does seem prepared to a pretty major extent. Naofumi and Raphtalia would head immediately straight toward the main boss via the teleportation in their little, well, obviously their HUD menu. They head over, and when they arrive, they see this odd looking ship. It seems like there's a Flying Dutchman actually there on the ship. They are able to basically counteract this Flying Dutchman, but unfortunately that is not even the boss. Raphtalia reveals this using her light magic, and something else appears from the shadows. It's this ghost looking dragon. A dragon that is literally seemingly made up of this weird plasma. The dragon begins to roar and swoop down toward Naofumi and Raphtalia. Naofumi immediately slices toward its wing, but the wing immediately would grow right back. Naofumi notices that they're going to need to actually critically hurt the dragon, or they won't be able to win this fight at all. So they begin to set up an attack that will eliminate the dragon instantaneously. Using the earth elemental part of his katana all around them, it seems like this final attack will be one that would obliterate the dragon from the inside out. With a combination of light magic and also seemingly earth magic from his katana, and also him being elemental like ninja, he's about to strike down the dragon. As they do, the dragon erupts with earth and also light at the same time, obliterating from the inside out with one foul swoop from both of their swords at the same time. Naofumi sheathes his sword once again, thinking the wave is over, but as he looks up into the sky, it's not over. Nothing is over. But just as he believes it to maybe just be fading away, another person, yes, a person comes out of nowhere, coming down out of nowhere with a scythe in hand, striking toward Naofumi as he's able to barely dodge out of the way. He pulls out his sword once again, or his katana once again, and throws a couple shurikens toward the man that's wielding this scythe. He smacks away those shurikens and stares at Naofumi with the most serious look on his face. But then he begins to kind of laugh, calling Naofumi a kiddo, and eventually saying that they're going to have to fight to the death. But he knows this won't be that easy. But a man by the name of Lark is now ready to fight. A human just came out of the wave, and now a fight will rage on between Naofumi and Lark himself. How will this fight go? Well, we're gonna find out right now on part 2 of What If Naofumi Was the Legendary Ninja Hero. Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. I'm back with, obviously, like I said, Naofumi the Legendary Ninja Hero, and we are here. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to leave a like, a sub, and a comment down below, all that good stuff, and make sure to check the links in the description for all of the stuff down there. And I'm not going to waste much more of your time. This is part 2 of 3. Like I said, we are going into Season 2, and for the rest of the Shield Hero What Ifs, we will be going into Season 2, but that obviously does depend on various other factors. So I'm not going to be doing the entirety of Season 2, depending on what happens in certain stories. I still haven't decided how far into Season 2 this would go, because obviously certain events won't happen based on certain things as well. But like I said, we'll see what happens when we get to it. Nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoyed, and let's just get right back into the What If. Let's get it. Lark stands in front of Naofumi and Raphtalia, but Naofumi doesn't back down, not one bit. He's ready for a fight. Lark comes lunging at Naofumi and seemingly strikes him right through the chest, but Naofumi is behind him, slashing at his leg, cutting actually part of his leg, or leaving a good little gash in the back of his leg. Naofumi slices toward the other leg as Lark basically counterattacks, swiping his scythe right back at Naofumi, but he disappears into a pile of smoke as Raphtalia slices the back of the other leg of Lark. Their whole job right now is to just slow down Lark. That's the goal. Lark seems to be extremely strong, and Naofumi may have insane ability to basically dodge, evade, and basically sneak around, but at the same time, he doesn't want to get hit with the scythe that is currently getting swung at him. He knows, as a ninja or as a warrior himself, he knows that if anybody uses a scythe, they must be extremely good with it, being that the weapon is not made for defense, and Lark can seemingly use it for that regard as well. Naofumi continues to just poke and prod at Lark, and eventually they slow him down just enough where Naofumi can even get some words in, asking the main reason why Lark is even here. Lark would eventually admit that Naofumi and the rest of the heroes need to die, that this world needs to actually crumble for theirs to be saved. Naofumi finds this ridiculous. Why would you go to a brand new world to kill them for the sake of your own? You should figure out another way. But Lark argues, saying that there is no other way, and that they would find that out if there possibly was one. But Naofumi refuses to die, at least not right here and now, and they continue to fight over and over. The fight is relatively even without slowing down Lark. The fight would have been pretty close, especially with the help of Raphtalia and her being a lot stronger than normal. But Naofumi wanted to make sure he took his precautions. Nonetheless, though, this fight would continue going on, but just as Naofumi believes that it's coming to an end, these beams come barreling his way. Red, white, various other beams begin to get sent right at Naofumi without him knowing. Luckily, Raphtalia can call this out, Naofumi blocking with his katana as the beams hit his katana and absorb within it. But unluckily enough, more beams would come. He gets basically hit with the first beam, a red-like beam that punctures through his arm, staggering him backwards. He looks to see 4 other beams coming the way, but somehow, when he looks away, they don't hit him. He's not sure how that even happened. He looks at Raphtalia, and she's in shock as well. That same person that they talked about before, the shield hero, has then arrived. But this shield hero isn't the one that they thought it would be. Far different than the one that would have existed in this world. The woman that is wielding the shield turns toward Naofumi and gives him a slight nod as she throws her shield as if it's some javelin. She just launches it from her wrist and just charges at Lark, kicking him right in the stomach, sending him backwards. Naofumi doesn't even know who this is, but it's as if she's so perfect in using her shield. It bounces off of the ground and she instantly catches it again, blocking away any of these other beams that are sent their way as well. It seems like there was actually 2 of them. Lark and Therese were there to fight, and Naofumi stares at both of them as they're both forced to retreat into the wave. But why do they seem so confident? Naofumi just basically manhandled one of them, or was able to defeat him with just him and one other person. And he needed help from Therese to actually get Naofumi off of him. But now there's another hero that actually seems almost as powerful as Naofumi, if not as powerful, but they seem completely fine with their situation. This worries Naofumi, and their little introduction to the shield hero is cut short. But he at least catches a name, and she goes by something known as Captain Carter. Naofumi kind of shrugs this off, not knowing if this is a reference to something or anything like that, but nonetheless, he heads over to Melwarmark as fast as possible. When he arrives, it seems like their wave is still going on. But that actually isn't the case. The other 3 heroes are currently defeated and on the ground whimpering. They're hurt, extremely hurt, and the sword hero Ren is actually struggling to his feet. Ren has actually outpaced the other 2 heroes just from mindset alone, but the other 2 heroes have began to become too comfortable, and they were defeated by a woman by the name of Glass. Glass is an otherworlder as well, and she came through the wave to defeat them and eventually kill the people there. But when Naofumi arrives, she's already leaving, saying that they will see each other again very soon. Glass leaves, and Naofumi feels kind of bad about the other heroes getting completely destroyed, but there has to be a problem. He tells them that they all need to get stronger and stronger fast, but most of them basically don't listen to him, telling him that he is no hero and that he wasn't actually summoned here. At least that's what they're convinced of, except for the sword hero Ren. Ren nods toward Naofumi and just leaves. The pride of himself is getting in the way of actually verbally confirming that they need to get stronger, but he knows that they do. Ren was barely able to even keep up, but Naofumi was able to keep up with someone like Lark. Naofumi would head down toward the Melromarc Kingdom and want to speak with the king himself. He tries to just barge in, but a ton of people refuse to let him in, but he just slides by with relative ease. He gets to the throne room and tells the king that he might want nothing to do with Naofumi or himself, but still, he needs to step up and show these other heroes that they need to make a bigger difference. That they need to get stronger. The king gets mad, telling the guards to get Naofumi out of here, and if he doesn't leave on his own accord, that they'll kill him right now. And frankly, they should imprison him as they speak. They try to put cuffs on Naofumi, but Naofumi is gone in an instant. Shadows appear just in Naofumi's place, and mist just overcomes the room, and he's gone. Naofumi wanted that lesson to be heard immediately, but as he's leaving, a shadow catches up with him, and he draws his sword and has the blade at her neck. She reminds him and tells him that she has no ill will toward him. He apologizes and sent someone that came out of nowhere, and it was all on instinct. She says it's fine as she hands a small emblem over to him. It's confirmation that the Church of the Three Heroes have something to do with all of this. Naofumi doesn't know much about it, but hearing it from one of the shadows confirms all of the suspicions that everybody else may or may not have been having. Naofumi takes the hint and decides that he should go speak with the Queen of Melromarc. He hears that obviously she is nowhere to be really seen at the moment, but that's more because she's trying to regulate most affairs. So he's going to head out over there and see what he can do. Meeting up with Raphtalia and Lobo, they're going to head over as they speak. But just as he leaves, it seems like the youngest daughter of the queen and the king, by the name of Melty, approaches them with a bunch of guards. And she says that she wants everybody to reconcile, get everybody on the right page, and maybe they can figure this thing out together. And Naofumi says that he was trying to do that. They've already been extremely hostile to him, so he can't really do much about it. He's going to take whatever steps are needed for basically helping out, but that's going to have to be speaking with her mother, or the queen. Melty scratches her head and tries to basically figure out any other way to go about these things, basically trying to find a way for all of them to work together. But just as she's thinking about this, a blade is about to get sent through her back. Naofumi sees this and basically parries the blade, stabbing the man through his chest, and Lobo proceeds to maul the rest of them. Naofumi grabs her and basically takes off with Lobo and also Raphtalia, telling her that if these guards are already under some sort of basically payroll or anything to kill her, they need to get her to the queen as soon as possible or just get her into safety. So they begin taking off, maybe to a nearby village or somewhere safe, and eventually he comes up with an idea. The village with a bunch of those bandits that he was training. It seems like they've been pretty helpful. So when he arrives over there, he asks for them to actually keep Melty safe, keep it under wraps, give her new clothes and all that stuff, and make sure they don't even notice if they come barging in. And hopefully this will work, especially when Naofumi is going to head over to the queen herself. Naofumi then tells them to be on good behavior, because maybe one day they'll be strong enough, or maybe one day he'll train them so they can be strong enough to be on his party full time. They're all happy to hear this, but they're actually happy about their little village life now. They've given themselves kind of a purpose. Naofumi has given them kind of a purpose. Nonetheless, Naofumi can't really talk much more as he heads off to the queen. Eventually, he would be able to actually get to the queen, but everyone kind of stares at him as he's riding on a giant werewolf-like creature. Nonetheless, he arrives and the queen gives him as much information as possible, apologizing for everything that's occurred, but Naofumi just stops her, saying that being an outcast is something he's kind of used to. It's just part of the job. Nonetheless, though, he needs to know where this church is and needs to know where he can actually exploit weaknesses and hopefully stop them immediately. And obviously the queen would give him as much information as possible, and they take off as quick as possible, arriving to the church. But luckily they catch them just as they're preparing. Naofumi tells Lobo and Raphtalia that they need to eliminate as many people as possible and as quick as possible. The main threat is the Pope, but they are all under his control, so they need to do what needs to be done to make sure that whatever they're going to do isn't going to happen. Naofumi and all of them jump into action, and they begin to cut through the army that the Pope has basically built up. But the Pope realizes this, and using the rest of his quote-unquote army or his people, he begins to power up the weapon, and basically the weapon that is this secret weapon that was supposed to be banished for decades. A weapon that's built up of the other 4 original cardinal weapons. He immediately tries to basically smite Naofumi, sending a giant blast toward him, but luckily he's able to dodge out of the way, and they're actually able to move. They close the distance toward the Pope and realize how he's getting his source of energy. Obviously, they don't want to kill all of these people. That's kind of like mass genocide, but nonetheless, they're going to have to do something. So they begin to try and knock out some of them or imprison them in various elemental like prisons. And then Lobo comes up with a great idea, roaring at the top of his lungs, giving this basically scare factor to all of these people that are there, and they begin to drop like flies, passing out over and over and over again. The Pope is losing energy as they speak, and Naofumi closes the distance with his sword, clashing with the 4 cardinal weapon. But Naofumi's weapon is not within the Pope's grasp. Naofumi's weapon is far different than anything. He begins to just make smoke everywhere around the Pope, and he traps him in this illusion of some sorts. Surrounding him in the entirety of smoke, it seems like the Pope has now lost every edge he had, or at least had in the past. Naofumi begins to circle him, and little indents of him begin to show up. The Pope attacks each one, but it seems like every single one he tries to attack is not actually there. Naofumi continues to do this, overwhelming the Pope eventually to the point that he begins to lose his mind, freaking out, not knowing where that next attack would come. Shurikens then get thrown from every single direction, hitting the Pope in the leg, in the arm, in the back, everywhere you can think of, making him bleed slowly but surely. Hurting extremely bad, the Pope doesn't know where to look, getting slight healing from the rest of his people that are left, but frankly not many are still standing. Naofumi then appears in front of the Pope and tells him that his reign of terror is over, and whatever mission he had stops now. His blade is about to plunge through the Pope's chest, but to the Pope it seems like it did. It puts him into this weird, shocked state, but Naofumi isn't even there. Naofumi didn't kill him. He put him under this stasis that made him feel like he was dead, in a state of shock of the blade puncturing through his chest. Now that he's sedated entirely, they take away the weapon, tie him up, and they throw him to Lobo, gonna drag him off into prison, and the Queen would follow suit as well. The Queen's army would swoop in and basically clean up the rest, and Naofumi and his party are greatly thanked for everything they've done. The Queen then asks where her daughter is, and they bring her to the village as Melty runs over to her mother, thanking her for basically keeping everyone safe, and thanking Naofumi for everything he's done. Naofumi nods and says that it's truly no problem, but they have far bigger issues than just that. The Queen questions what he's talking about, and all of the explanations flood through. The other monsters, or the people that are coming out of the waves, these are on par with the heroes. These people are extremely powerful, some people to definitely be worried about. With that said, and while a party is going about in the Melromar Kingdom, punishment will then lay waste. Obviously, the Queen knows of what the king and also her oldest daughter has done, but she also needs to speak with the heroes before anything else, telling them, for one, about the archipelago event, but also asking them to share their ways of growing in strength. Naofumi himself kind of just immediately says what he's done. He doesn't know much about video games, and maybe they think certain ways are better, but he's kind of just done whatever he thought to be best in general. Getting better weapons, but also leveling up certain skills and this and that. Naofumi, in a way, may have not known everything, and it would have slowed down or hindered his very beginning, but now that he's done kind of everything, it helped him in the long run. The other heroes are confused and begin to kind of reject the idea of doing everything, thinking that their way is better, but the sword hero Ren believes this to be actually a good idea as well. He needs to find any leg up he can get on Naofumi himself. Of course, they're using the same weapon, and in a way, he does respect Naofumi from who he thinks, or basically the type of character Naofumi was in the past of Ren. Of course, they don't know each other like in real life and don't actually know each other, but at the same time, Ren knows of people similar to Naofumi, so the respect is definitely there. But with that said, the archipelago event is right in front of them in the next couple days, but the punishment of the king and also the oldest daughter of the queen will then commence. Of course, immediately they are completely stripped of their royal titles, especially after trying to kill the youngest daughter by the name of Melty. Naofumi, though, denies the idea of killing them outright, thinking that's probably not the best way of going about it, and maybe all of these people here will definitely run and cower if they hear of just the execution and the quick trigger finger of the queen herself. But nonetheless, Naofumi gets instated as one of the heroes. Everybody is now aware of Naofumi's presence, thinking that Naofumi must be a proper hero as well. Naofumi says that he will not be necessarily a hero of here, or basically a cardinal hero here, but he does see fit in helping as much as possible. But on top of that, they need to actually tell another hero, the shield hero of basically another world or another place, but other known as Siltvelt, and that's where currently Captain Carter is. They need to tell them about the archipelago events. All of that is set underway. The queen tells him not to worry about it and that they will handle that immediately, and Naofumi and his party would head off to the archipelago events. They would begin their training, but Lark, Therese, and Glass would be nowhere to be seen. Of course, they don't want to give away who they are or where they are exactly at this moment. Naofumi would continue training more and more with Lobo and also Raphtalia, and he would even bring some of the bandits that would show a little more promise, especially because they do need to get that special amounts of training. Their training would be extremely fruitful, and they'd gain experience points at a rapid rate, killing the highest and the best leveled monsters they possibly could find. After a matter of time though, Naofumi decides to have his party take a little bit of a break. Lobo would go diving into the water in their small lake of some sorts, but would find something very odd. A temple that seems very ominous. Eventually they'd all go down there and realize what is there. It seems like there's a dragon hourglass amongst that water, and this definitely concerns Naofumi. They all come out and begin to contact the queen, telling her of everything that's occurring at this moment, eventually leading to them more or less getting an army ready and set. But Naofumi would send somebody and actually go over to them as he realizes who it is, seeing Lark and Therese currently on the ground and hiding in the forest. He asks them if this is truly what they want, if they really want this to be a fight. He continues to question them on this regard and says that maybe there's just some way that they can help, maybe there's some way that things could change. Everything collapses for a reason, but maybe this is not the thing that they truly want to occur. Naofumi tries to hopefully reason with them, but even they're not so sure about the whole occurrence. They don't want to hurt Naofumi or the people that are there. They need something to happen though. They need to save someone, save something. They need to fix this all of this, but it seems like everything is just crumbling at their feet. Eventually the wave would arrive and they would have to make their choice. Would they fight, or would they take the deal with Naofumi and hopefully come out on top? And hopefully they can help each other in saving their worlds. The wave would be upon them, and the mission was to kill the giant boss monster, or it's basically just a giant fish. But it seems like the heroes were actually ready for this time. The giant fish would appear and they strike it down in a matter of seconds. It obliterates into nothingness more or less, and all is there is half of a carcass. Lark and Therese jump on that said platform that is left of that carcass of the fish, and Naofumi would approach them asking if they've decided have decided on their choice. And of course they say how they have, and that they won't be fighting, not right now and not here. Naofumi's happy to hear this, and they say that Glass will be told of this decision, but they will be seeing him sooner rather than later. Of course, their choice could change in the near future if nothing else can be figured out, but they hope that maybe, just maybe, they can figure out a different way. Glass would eventually arrive and see and hear of this decision, and of reluctantly agreeing on it. But what they don't realize is that this mission will become way, way harder, and Naofumi going to their world will come a lot sooner than expected. Naofumi allows them to leave, and then eventually the other heroes are kind of mad that this occurred. He let them leave. They could have just killed them and then they would have no issue. The queen reluctant to basically send her own 2 cents in. Naofumi tells her that this is the best choice, that this killing them off would not be the greatest idea, and Naofumi can feel it in his gut. He just knows. He can tell. Naofumi decides that he's going to head off towards Shield Frieden. There's some other things he needs to handle relatively soon. When he begins to leave though, the queen tells him about something that they have done for him, something that they want to reward him with, and that is actually Raphtalia's village. This would lead them to making this village basically whole once again. The buildings get cleaned up and everything seems to be settled relatively quickly, and Naofumi would stand watching basically everything in the distance. But some time would pass and a whisper in his ear would occur, someone he had no idea existed. Of course, this woman or this person would be named Fitoria. Fitoria is the queen of all the Filolios, and she begins to speak about some cleanup that she did on their behalf because of basically such a good thing Naofumi has done. Naofumi asks what would that cleanup be, and she explains that there are some people over on the opposite side of Melremark that were not the best of people and were in cahoots with the church as well, and she had it handled, or she handled it personally. She explains who she is, obviously the Filolio queen, and explains that something else is coming. Something else is coming very, very soon. She begins to say that they will know when it comes, but to be prepared just in case. About a week would pass, and it seems like whatever sign she was talking about has just arrived. Bats begin to swarm and monsters alike begin to charge into the village that Raphtalia was born in, or at least was raised in. Naofumi looks on in complete shock, wondering where these things came from. He looks at Raphtalia and Lobo, telling them to get ready to fight. They charge out, ready to fight these monsters that are in the headway, but Naofumi himself does not know where these have come from. Well, but we do. The Spirit Tortoise has been resurrected, and there's going to be far more than just defeat in the wake of Naofumi and his party. They're going to need to handle far more than they possibly would expect. But that is for the final part of What If Naofumi was the legendary ninja hero. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, a sub, and a comment down below, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's about it. Make sure to check the links in the description below. And yeah, I hope all of y'all have an amazing day. Later. I don't wanna waste what's left.